Hello there. On Monday, we were invited to take part in a capture event for Battlefield 6, specifically two new maps, Mirak Valley and the BF6 version of Operation Firestorm. Now, we've got videos coming out of heli and tank gameplay on those maps, but in this video, I'm focusing in on the fact that the build of the game that we were given had everything unlocked. All the gadgets, all the guns, all the vehicles. Now, obviously this isn't the full launch client yet, but we are less than a month away from launch, and I think we must be seeing at least 90% or more of the content that's going to drop at launch. Notably, there was no minibird helis on the maps, nor any unlocks for the jets, but as I said, I'm sure there's a few bits missing that will make it in for launch, so let's not focus on what's missing, but let's have a goosey gander at what is here. Strap in. Right then, on with the meat of the video, the classes. We're going to look at their perks and their gadgets. This is the Pax Armata camo was just up there, and now the NATO one. If at any point in this video we're moving too quickly, I've left lots of time so you can pause and dig into the details that are on screen. Now, I wish I had time, but the embargo is drawing near, and I can't dig into every little piece of information, but I have made sure that it's on screen in the video. So if you want to pause at any point during the video, yeah, be my guest, browse at your leisure. There are two training paths for each class. So Assaulter's got Breacher and Frontliner. Now I think Frontliner, which is the one that's got the squad beacon spawns on it, whereby teammates get a 2-second boost from your adrenaline injector as they spawn, which seems quite nice. Quite team orientated, and I like that, you know, Assault potentially have got some cool kind of moments where they can use their active ability to boost the squad, so you can run forward onto an MCOM when there's a couple of tickets left on rush. I think there's some kind of good playability there. Obviously we had the sling, which we all remember from the beta, which was all full of shotguns, but now we've got the actual proper gadgets, as I like to call them. The assault ladder, quite useful. Tommy and me used it a few times during the little playthrough, well, play test we did, or a capture session. There's also a breaching projectile launcher, a thermobaric launcher, a highly explosive one as well there. They can actually be mounted onto primaries that have a gadget mount attachment. I didn't work that out myself, but yeah, so I guess that'll make it easier than having it on a sling in a gadget slot. You'll be able to just press a button on your primary gun and use it as a secondary fire mode. The deploy beacon being moved from Recon onto Assault, I think is a really cool idea. Again, this idea of actually having Assault as a forward-pushing class that has actually got some team play elements to it, that's cool. Now, I do hate this incendiary shotgun. I died to it quite a lot, I believe, but they can't shotgun me when I'm in a tank, so who wins? Yeah, it's me. The grenades are also locked to the classes, so everybody gets frag grenade, but we've got stun and flash grenade here for Assault, which really, again, cements them as this kind of bang, they're jumping in, they're flashing everybody, stunning everyone, and then mopping up with their shotguns, presumably. Truly terrifying. Engineer is next, and obviously Reptile, a classic. Many hours, wistfully, holding mouse 1 on the side of a helicopter, not really seeing anything else except for a panel of metal. But again, we've got two training paths now, combat engineer and anti-armor. So combat engineer, again, gives you lots of buffs towards healing friendly vehicles, and there's only one way. I think if you're the gunner or the driver, sorry, if you jump out and jump back in, it kind of auto kickstarts the regen of the vehicle. Now we've got lots of launchers. Many of them are guided, some require the tracer darts. We've got javelins. The law, kind of, as it fires towards the vehicle, it goes whoop, and then it just hits them in the top, and that seems to work on helis as well, which is terrifying. The supply crates, you actually put it down next to friendly vehicles and it will resupply ammo to them, as well as reducing their cooldowns, which is really cool. So that's like a gadget specifically for kind of boosting and aiding friendly vehicles. Slams are making a return. We've got your standard kind of anti-tank mines, anti-vehicle mines. There's the weird kind of proximity mine that was in the beta. I couldn't quite work out how to get it to work properly, but perhaps, you know, just some more time will heal that wound. The EOD bot is thankfully back. I love the EOD bot in BF4, and I look forward to driving it around on, you know, close quarters maps like Cairo, and just defusing people from behind and killing people with the EOD bot, because I think that'll be really fun. Now, as for the grenades, obviously you've got the frag grenade, there's an anti-vehicle grenade, which reminds me of kind of BF1, BF5, and then the mini grenade, which is kind of a lightweight grenade, does slightly less damage than a frag, but can be thrown further. Now, with support, I actually think this is going to be one of the most popular classes in BF6. It's the twin disciplines of the OG support, ammo resupply role, and medic. There are two training paths, combat medic and fire support, which kind of allow you to lean into those individual roles, and the active resupply, which kind of makes you like a mobile resupply bag, healing and resupplying teammates around you, as well as making you revive faster. As for the gadgets, it's kind of a real mismatch of, like I said, support and medic from what we're used to. You've got the defibs, obviously a primary medic tool. There's the grenade intercept system, and also an anti-missile APS system, which are really good support tools for kind of helping your teammates, especially on kind of really high infantry, or again long range, kind of if you pop that down next to a tank who's trying to push a point, it's going to help them a lot. You've got the mortar, a smoke grenade launcher, which I think will be really useful if you're playing like a medic role and you want to kind of get on top of people to get them up. An incendiary airburst launcher, which I think it's actually just sent a shudder down my spine thinking about Operation Locker and things like that. Deployable cover, very reminiscent of 2042, but I think it has got its place. And then a supply pouch, which kind of just allows people to suckle ammo and health right off your back. Now, grenades for support, obviously frag grenade, you've got smoke grenade, which kind of again fits that medic role, trying to get to people to revive them, and then an incendiary grenade, just for pure hell, I guess. Recon feels a little bit like a forgotten child to me, but I don't play Recon all that much. We've got Sniper and Spec Ops as the training paths, so obviously you can lean harder into, you know, making your sniper rifle better, and, you know, being, you know, a crack shot. Or there's this Spec Ops build, which kind of enables you to be quieter and sneakier. Now, we do have C4 on the Gadget, and so maybe, you know, staying off the radar, staying quieter whilst having a closer range weapon, maybe with a silencer on it, again, to kind of keep you off the radar, as well as having things like C4 and tracer darts. Maybe you could really be up in the front of it as a Recon player, kind of supporting your team. We've obviously got the laser designator, we've got a Recon drone, just for spotting people out, and maybe we can put C4 on that and turn it into a little bit of an armed bomb. Tracer dart, claymore, which you'll obviously be wanting to put on the top of a ladder behind you where you're sniping up on a tower, a sniper decoy, which I've never really thought were all that useful personally, and then the C4. So I'm hoping maybe a little bit of a return to, I think it was BF3, there was like a special ops DLC. So maybe we could see a grapple hook being added in the future, or something like that, to kind of round out Recon a bit more. But as I say, I'm not really a Recon player, so I'm not gonna shit on them too much. Here's their stuff. Enjoy. Now, as for grenades, obviously fragmentation grenade, a proximity detector, basically your standard spotting grenade that you throw out and it spots people, and then a throwing knife, which is only an instant kill to the head, thankfully. But if it hits you in the body, you will have your healing delayed for 10 seconds. So the throwing knife's certainly got its uses. And that's all of Recon. And with all of the classes done, let's get on with the weapons. Now, obviously, I haven't got time to talk through every single weapon, but we're going to start off with assault rifles here. I actually played with the TR7. As you can see, I've done some upgrading on that, and it felt quite good, but didn't really have a good chance to play with every single weapon during the playtest. I'm going to speed through the video now, and I've left ample time for you to pause if you want to click in and look at each individual assault rifle and check out their stats and their descriptions. Okay, we're on to carbines. I tried out the QBZ and the SG553R. I quite like the SG, for its damage, but I do think that in this category, the M4A1 may well still be the king. As before, pause if you want to check out the stats. SMGs, the engineer's weapon of choice. I found some lovely success with the KV9, which has got an over 1,000 rate of fire. The SL9 Tommy was favouring, and he said that was quite good. So I think generally SMGs, they do what they're designed to do, which is spit bullets incredibly quickly at the enemy. Obviously onto the LMGs. I tried out the KTS 100 because it seemed like I could potentially get a lot of precision and control with it, but I do find that the lower rate of fire and the lower damage, it wasn't really the one for me. And then the M250, good rate of fire, good damage. I seem to kind of settle with that eventually. As before, pause if you want to check out the stats. Now, honestly, I didn't try a single DMR. There just wasn't time. We only played, I think, probably 6 games in total across all the different maps and modes. Yeah, DMRs. They're not sniper rifles, and they're not assault rifles, but they do kill things at long range. Now, if any of you have been watching Tag for, more than a day, you'd know that I don't really favour Recon or snipers personally. Again, didn't try these out, but there are 3 in this build. Now, I was a little bit sad here with the shotguns to see that there's no Dow 12 returning, but maybe we'll get it in a seasonal update or something like that. But shotguns, well, they're just pain, aren't they? I also wanted to get in here that there are 4 secondaries. Obviously, we can expect that more will be added over time, but it initially looks like we've got 3 fairly standard pistols, a semi-auto one, and a Magnum. Now, while we're looking at the melee weapons, I did forget to mention all the secondaries are obviously available on every class, as are the melee weapons. Now, the combat knife and the hunting knife, they give you an increased sprint speed because everybody runs faster with a knife, obviously. And then the sledgehammer lets you do a bit of minor demolition. Lovely stuff. Now, we're going to go through the vehicles, starting with the MBT, and I've got the NATO and the Pax Armata skins. I'll briefly show them for each vehicle. And then also, I'm going to dig into each vehicle and show you what the unlocks are for each vehicle. Now, some don't have unlocks, and I'll just briefly discuss that when that's on screen. Now, the MBT is obviously a big favourite of mine personally. We start off with a primary and alternate ammo. So the primary here, we've got multi-purpose ammo, armor-piercing shells, anti-personnel, high explosive, and aim-guided. Now, the most interesting here for me is the aim-guided one. Obviously, if something's been tracked by a tracer dart or is being lased, the aim-guided shell will find its mark. And we did actually find ourselves full foul of this in the heli quite a few times during the capture session. So what you can do is you can have any 2 of these shells equipped, and then you just press a button to switch between them on your main cannon. Your secondary weapon is either a light machine gun or a heavy machine gun. The heavy MG fires pretty slowly, but it's actually quite accurate, and it's pretty decent, and you can actually damage kind of small vehicles with it as well. So we've got the equipment slot, thermal blocking smoke, which stops lock-on missiles and obviously physically obscures you with smoke. There's the projectile intercept system, just a standard kind of APS, and it'll stop grenades, rockets, and I believe C4 as well from detonating on you. And then the emergency repair, which it's obvious what that does, it just pops some health onto your tank. Obviously with your equipment, that's an active that you have to press, but the upgrades are just stat upgrades for your tank. So you've got field maintenance, faster health recovery, stuff like that, reinforced plating, you know, more health, but your max speed is slower, your acceleration is slower, enhanced loading, obviously, you know, rate of fire on your weapon, slower overheat on the secondary MG, and finally optimized handling, which is just an improved vehicle turn rate and aiming speed. So presumably that's the actual turret aim speed. So you can customize your gunner's gun. You can have a HMG, an LMG, similar to what you can have as your secondary weapon, and then also they can have a grenade launcher, which I think will be really useful in maps like Siege of Cairo, where you've got lots of infantry in a small confined space. So the gunner also gets an active ability, so you can have smoke wall, which is in the beta, and then countermeasures, which will delete mines and C4 that it's detected. That's quite useful actually. Onto the IFV, the infantry fighting vehicle, a bit of a favourite of mine actually. I think I might even prefer it to the MBT because it's really quite versatile, and there's some really cool upgrades you can add onto it, which we'll get into now. So you can only have one primary weapon shell type, either high explosive, anti-personnel or armor piercing, but as the driver you do get a secondary weapon, which can be things like an aim guided missile, a lock guided missile and light rockets. We found that the lock guided is really quite good, and actually if you hit a tank in the rear with that, it seems to do, you know, a hell of a lot of damage. It's almost like a one-hit kill on some of them. So for the equipment, you've actually got a smoke generator, which could be really useful for like laying down cover for infantry that are around you and you're trying to push forward to a point, because it continually pushes smoke out while you're driving forward, making like a, you know, a channel of smoke. You've got thermal blocking smoke, which I think most selfish people will probably equip because it's going to stop actual missiles coming and hitting your tank. And then you've got emergency repair. So there are two equipment slots for the IFV. One's a threat detector and the other one's a counterfire radar. So when somebody hits you with a missile or something, it actually shows you and marks them to see where did that shot come from. So that can be really useful if somebody's firing an RPG out of a window and you're struggling to see where they are. Upgrades for the IFV are similar to the MBT, but not exactly the same. You've got field maintenance. Now target jammer, that's actually something on the one of the helis I think as well. Slows down the time for people to lock onto you. Reinforced plating, that's the same as the tank, just makes you slower but gives you more health. And then systems upgrades quite good, so that reduces the cooldown on your first ability and then it extends the duration of the others on your second ability. So that's quite good. You can customize the remote weapon, the gunner weapon for the second player. LMG, HMG and grenade launcher, same as the MBT. Now there are also target designator and smoke wall things for the gunner. You can't change those, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the video. Maybe this isn't the full launch build of the game and maybe some bits are still unfinished. Light ground transport, your standard Jeep. We've got NATO and Pax Armata variations, and there's just a HMG on the top. Can't be changed. I'd like to see that maybe we could have a grenade launcher attachment on that, maybe even some like armor plating and stuff. As I said, this isn't the full launch client of the game. This is just we were capturing two maps, but we happen to have more stuff than we've ever had before in any build of the game. So I'm just showing you what we had. This is the last ground vehicle in this customized vehicles menu, the anti-air. There were quad bikes on the maps, and we've obviously seen a golf cart in one of the trailers. So we've got Pax Armata and NATO skins for this anti-air, and then all of the upgrades that I'm just about to show. So there's three main round shell types for the AA. You've got multi-purpose, which is kind of a bit of both. High velocity, which is faster firing, but better for light armoured craft. So helis, planes potentially, are completely ineffective against armoured ground vehicles. And then you've got the anti-armour AA shell, which really is kind of for helis, I suppose. It's ineffective again against armoured ground vehicles, but potentially you could kill some jeeps with that. Your secondary is just an anti-air ground-to-air missile. And then for the equipment, we've got thermal blocking, stops locks and stuff, and then an emergency repair. So for your upgrades, again, these are, physical upgrades to the tank. They aren't actives that you have to press. Systems upgrade, similar to the IVF. Optimized handling, faster aim speed for dealing with things like jets that are faster moving potentially. Enhanced loading, so just increases the reload speeds of your missiles and your main gun. And then targeting jammer, which I think was on the IVF as well, to slow down people, locking onto you and dealing with you from the ground, or maybe from the air as well. We've also got a second upgrade slot for the radar system, but you can't change that at all, so maybe that'll change at launch. Finally, air vehicles, the attack heli. Now, the difference between the Pax Armata and the NATO skins is quite visually striking. We've got primary rockets. You can have aim guided, light rockets or heavy rockets. I think Tommy found the light rockets tended to just be the overall best ones in the time that we played, but it'll remain to be seen. Your secondary for the pilot is the anti-air missiles or the aim guided missile. So there's a lot of aim guided stuff in this game where the tracer or the laser designator is going to play a big part in helping to paint the targets. You have got, of course, your standard flares, and they currently can't be changed for anything. For your actives, you've got emergency repair or target detection. Now, target detection sounds good, but I think giving up that immediate health repair when you've got two missiles seeking in on you, the helicopters can be quite flimsy, and we really kind of leant towards using emergency repair. There's quite a few upgrades for the helis. You've got a radar system, heavy warheads, which really changes the turn speed and the maneuverability of the helicopter quite a lot, and maybe that's a little bit too much at the moment. So when we tried that, it was really not worth the payoff. Interference slows down the lock-ons and painting of targets on you. That's really quite useful. And then improved armor. We didn't quite have enough time to test exactly how much armor that gives you, how many extra shots you can take, but pretty much just one, I think. Finally, the gunner, there's nothing you can change, but I've really got my fingers crossed for a TV missile at launch. Now, transport heli. For the next 3 vehicles, this vehicle including the jets as well, there's nothing that can be customized. There are NATO and Pax Armata versions or, skins, but essentially you've got flares, emergency repair, and 2 mounted miniguns. I'd like to see that, potentially have some customization at launch. The same with this attack jet, meant for kind of anti-vehicle, anti-soldier, attacking targets on the ground. You've got the Pax Armata and the NATO skin, and then we've got the main cannon, a secondary guided bomb, flares, an aim-guided missile, and then a radar system, all of which you can't upgrade or change. And finally, the last vehicle in our entire video is the fighter jet, air-to-air, for dealing with helis and other jets. You can't change anything on this. I've got to hope that this is just because the build that we had is not the final build, and I'm sure that's the case. But yeah, here we go. We've got aim-guided bomb, lock-guided AA missiles, autocannon, and a radar system and flares. And that's all the weather. So that's it. You've made it to the end of the video. If you have got this far with me, please do like and subscribe, click the bell, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the full complement of weapons in Battlefield 6. And we'll be playing it very, very soon. It's less than a month now. Bye.